Sorry for the delay. We'll ask everyone to please be seated. And just a gentle reminder before we begin the service for Parker Lee, Peely Fresh Williams. If you have a cell phone with you, for those of you present here at the chapel, if you have a cell phone with you, please place it in the silent mode or turn it off completely. That would be appreciated. The Master of Ceremonies this afternoon will be Akbar, Peely's partner.
How's everybody doing? Thank you for coming out tonight. I'm unprepared as far as speeches go, but I am here to introduce all the speakers and people who were close to Parker, family and friends. First, we're going to start with the birthday song that was composed by his mother, Flora, in the front row, and the music was by Parker. So we're going to start with that birthday song. Okay. Is it going to play? I don't know if I should introduce myself, but I'm Akbar. I'm a longtime friend of Parker. Wow, I can't even count the years. I've known him since I was probably 13. And it's like a brother to me. It's a great loss, a great shock. And I'm just honored to be a part of his life, and I'm overwhelmed with all the people and support that I've gotten over the last couple of weeks since he passed. And he was loved by a lot of people and influenced a lot of people.
Ready? Memory 3, a birthday song or baby bird's debut. Happy, happy birthday, baby. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. It's your party. And you'll cry if you want to. It's your party. It's your Earth debut. Your arrival was heralded unceremoniously with bubbles of blood in an East Harlem toilet, miles and miles from our safety zone. Our zone scented with aromas of pasteles, pastelillos, and pierogies. Our zone scented with auras of bodegas, cuchi-fucha storefronts, and dark wooded Ukrainian restaurants steamy with boiled beef and cabbage soup. Our zone, our Lower East Side zone tasting of Katz's corned beef, Yonashimo dishes, dim sum, Chinese Cuban delicacies, curry, and soul food. Our zone, our Lower East Side zone, booming with the clamor of bright-colored hippie polemics, of sharp-edged, rhythmic, immigrant dialogues, of incense-tinged meditations, and the underlying beat, beat, beat of Latin drums. Your arrival was heralded unceremoniously with bubbles of blood in an East Harlem toilet, miles and miles from our safety zone. Your arrival was heralded unceremoniously as I stood, belly protruding, surrounded by solicitous Semites, embracing me and protecting me as an alleged lunchwoman, a member of the ancient tribe. Office supply moguls ministering to me as if I were carrying the anticipated Messiah, a prophet yet to come. In reply, your movement signaled, "Let me out. Let me tell it. Let me shout the truth. I know the future. I am the future, and they may well be scared." Miles and miles from our safety zone. Our zone, a colorful contrast to the sleek, shiny, stretch limo, which speeded us to our Lower East Side sanctuary. Our zone, where peace signs and poverty coexisted side by side. Our zone, where methadone, methamphetamines, mushrooms, and marijuana colored community consciousness. Our zone, where skin tones tease and twist and blend, a tapestry of tan, tawny beige, toast, chocolate brown, gold, skin tones the color of autumn, the color of summer surrounded us. Your arrival was heralded unceremoniously as I stood belly protruding in an East Harlem office supply warehouse. Your arrival was heralded A-tone wails, verse and bass, and brush grape snare weaving a welcome in a 12th Street tenement. Welcome to our zone, our Lower East Side zone. Welcome to our zone. Happy birthday, baby.
Thank you for that piece. I'm going to introduce his mom, Flora. I want you to come up and speak, and I think she has some poetry she wants to share with us. Beige Boy.
Talk first.
Okay.
Those of you who know me know I talk a lot, but I'm going to try to keep it. And I might cry, so that
I didn't
makes
get my hug either. I didn't get my hug.
that makes
This
it.
is my mom right here. This is my mom. Yo. My mom. Okay, I don't want to. Okay.
Okay, I promise I'll try not to cry. Can you hear me? Great. Okay, that poem was my celebration of my son's Lower East Side birth. And then Parker and I shared and collaborated on it, with him providing the music behind my words. And this was just one example of the generosity of him as a son, because he so much wanted to support and enhance my creativity. And he did it with his love and with his talent. So all of the poetry I did that he collaborated with, he did it to let me be who I could be. Parker emerged shining with the joy and spirit of music. Named after Charlie Parker and his father, Leroy, he emerged with music all over the place. And we already knew that he was going to be music's child, or later he named it jazz child, but we knew that's who he would be, and of course that is who he was. His energy was boundless every day. When Parker was 1 year old, I gave away his stroller because he kept trying to crawl into the other kids' strollers, so I'd be chasing a stroller this way and him that way, so I said, you better learn to walk. And that was the end of that. But that was all his energy and all his spirit. Parker, he was, everything in his life was music related. His first steps were related to music. He ran across he hadn't ever walked, but he ran across a whole room to his godfather, famous bassist Willard Ware, and ended up in his arms. And that was his very first step. He ran ever since then, by the way. I don't think he ever walked, he ran. Parker's energy was there. Parker was multicultural from day one, and because we lived on the Lower East Side, everybody assumed he was Puerto Rican, so they used to put him in bilingual classes. Parker didn't speak a word of Spanish. And so I had to go like, okay, this isn't working. He has no idea what you're saying to him. You're gonna have to transfer him out, and they did. Again, music, when he was about 5, starting at 5, Parker and I went every week to a music store on 2nd Avenue where we bought Michael Jackson records. He listened to him, he moved to him, and I think he baby DJ'd to him as well. And the girl down the block said that called him Little Michael, but he was far more talented and beautiful, by the way. I may be prejudiced, but that's what I'm saying for sure. He graduated grade school at the top of his class. His amazing intelligence was very quiet, but there, as was his kindness and his loyalty to all of his young friends at that time and ever since. When we moved to Chicago in 1983, he pursued music with both feet and with a lot of soul. And others are going to talk more than I do, I think, about his role in bringing hip hop and graffiti culture from New York to Chicago, because you all know more about it. But what I know is I bought him his first set of turntables. That I do know. The music helped to protect him here in Chicago, where there was violence and gang activity. And he was known as a writer and a DJ, and that kept him from the gangs, him and Akbar. It kept them from getting beat up too often, and so that was really a good thing. Since his first day here in Chicago, the gangs threatened him, and he said, I'm going back to New York, bye, Mom. But it worked out. It worked out in the long run. At St. Patrick's High School and then at Columbia College, he graduated top of his class. He displayed what I call his humble brilliance, because Parker wasn't someone who said, oh, I'm the smartest man in the world, but he was brilliant, and it was there humbly and beautifully. Moving from college to Harpo, he was able to use his remarkable musical talents, his creativity, and his energy in another way. He used it with television and finding, as he used to say, just the right song for just the right emotion, to bring the Oprah show to a whole other feeling musically, to make it a different feeling musically. And he also discovered some remarkable business talent that we didn't know he had, and that was really good. For 26 years, he was devoted to Harpo, to Harpo family, to the music, and to everything in his whole life there. That was the center. Harpo and his family there was the center of his life. That was what he loved more than anything. He would still be there today if it was still here, and he was still here. Sometimes he let me share his Harpo family. He brought me on a cruise that Oprah did. He brought me on little trips like Hawaii, and I got to know some of his Harpo family, which was really good and really important. Now, since then, since Harpo, he's not there, he was was working on creating and expanding and enhancing his own legacy with his Who's the Boss music library. And this was new to him, but it was what he wanted. He was waiting for it to happen, and it was happening. They just sold a bunch of music to The View, and it was really going just where he wanted it to go. And I think his legacy would have been built. He was the most amazing, loving, and caring son. I really don't know how I'm going to live my life without him, but I'm going to spend every day memorializing him and celebrating him, and any help any of you all could give me, I will accept, because he deserves that. The next poem that they're going to play, it was suggested I read it, but I couldn't have gone through it, is called Beige Boy. And again, it's about the birth of my son. But most importantly, Parker played the music for it and used it as another chance to do a family collaboration. And he did that because he loved me, and he did it because he wanted to enhance what I could do. And we wanted to share with everybody what he had to give with his music and what I had to give with my voice. So they're going to play Beige Boy. Thank you.
And he called you Jazz Flow.
He called me Jazz Flow. I have a bunch of records called Jazz Flow. You're right about that. Memories from the life of a beige boy, dedicated to my son Parker Lee. Prologue. Someone said to you, your parents must have raised you right, and you chuckled when you told me this. So I decided to share with you just how you were raised, so you can value who I am, and more importantly, who you are. These are memories, helter-skelter, and told as I remember them. When you put this patchwork quilt of memories together, I hope you know how special you are. So here we go. Memory 1, pre-birth, a prenatal song. I shared my deepest secrets with you as you reclined in the cocoon of my belly. You didn't say a word out loud, but you pantomimed your reactions from inside out. And I believed from that moment that we perceived in sync, that our umbilical cord connected our souls. And I still believe that today all the environmental chaos sometimes jumbles our signals. I whispered to you about how glad I was that you were soon arriving, coming out so we could share our lives, celebrated with you about anticipated joy, commiserated with you about hurt feelings, being scared, and about the many pangs of day-to-day life. We shared enemies, including your daddy on bad days, and we chuckled over the antics of friendly faces. I knew when you were laughing because my belly lunged and lurched. We went on prenatal excursions, me clothed in big, sometimes billowing, sometimes borrowed dresses, and you clothed in membrane and moisture. Your daddy and I brought you to the Museum of Modern Art, appropriately nicknamed Mama, and gave you fetal exposure to Picasso and Chagall, which we liked, and Miro, which we didn't. We shared sandwiches in the sculpture garden and simultaneously shared sustenance and spirituality. We listened to Jukebox Janice, Jimmy, and Miles as we ate fried chicken in the annex on Avenue B, and undoubtedly negatively impacted your nutrition, but positively impacted your soul. We drank Chardonnay and slugs on East 3rd Street as we inhaled Frank Wright's wailing, impressionistic squeaks and moans, an era of the new music and an ignorance is bliss relationship to fetal alcohol syndrome. Sawdust, smoke, and pregnancy were a trio playing our song. We sat on a bench in Tompkins Square Park, absorbing political manifestos, reefer fumes, and the energies of half-washed hippies. We watched plated young mothers wearing ankle-length skirts and earth-friendly sandals, chasing wild-haired toddlers in Indian shirts or homemade dashikis. I smiled and asked you about your arrival date so we could join the mother-child rhythmic promenade. You replied with a rhythm of your own, but one I could not decode. We went to work together, collaboratively derailing dozens of dead-end jobs, bearing whipped cream-laden banana splits clothed in leotards, bunny ears, and a tail, dismissed as too fat by a misanthropic midtown ice cream parlor entrepreneur, and little did he know that the excessive fat was an embryo in bloom. We poured no-name alcohol into half-washed glasses serving leering strangers in a depressingly dark midtown bar, the fishnet hose and leotards betraying a blossoming belly, you making your presence known again, the girth that is you generating one more employment ending. We rode crowded trains daily to the East Harlem office supply business, where mind asleep and feet propped on bright blue milk cartons, we filed invoices, mailed out bills, flinched and ducked and dodged as dozens of poison darts dripping with denigration, degradation, and potential destruction were mindlessly flung into the air, drawing blood when they sunk into flesh, or not when they missed. It didn't matter. It was just clean all-American fun. Nigger jokes, nigger put-downs, nigger downgrades, happy to be white song fests, reaching out to me to sing along. Follow the bouncing ball, join the So White choir. You raised a fist from within, and I patted my belly in solidarity. The revolution will be televised, but it was our secret for now. The revolution will be televised, but our revolution was a dream deferred, temporarily traded off for a paycheck, tears and 2 sets of eyes. I whispered, compromise. You kicked dissent. They gave me a baby gift, and I chuckled at the postnatal snapshot I would provide. I hope you'll have an afro. I know they'll have apoplexy or whatever. If not revolution, at least revenge or a taste. We felt peaceful and protected as your daddy washed my feet when I could no longer reach. We shone as he scraped his cheek against my swollen stomach, seeking communion with you, his boy, his son. I could feel you patting his face from within. We were an on-time trio some days, although a definite do-it on others. Mother, father, son, the triumvirate. Mother, son, the dyad. Which will it be? We toasted with champagne on my birthday, and I closed my eyes and focused on your overdue appearance. Your father laughed, both of us awaiting my anticipated belated birthday gift. You pushed against my insides with both palms, and you sang your prenatal psalm like a Caribbean mantra. Soon come, soon come, soon come. I shared my deepest secrets with you while you reclined in the cocoon of my belly.
All right. Thank you again, Flora. Thank you, Jazz Flow. Yes. Again, I want to thank each and everybody who's in the building today. I know you must have known Parker in some way, shape, or form, and I know he definitely did something to touch your life because he definitely was a big part of mine. And I appreciate everybody for being here. I really do. Right now, I want to let everyone hear from his dad. Okay, Leroy. This is his dad from New York City. I want him to be able to speak on behalf of his son.
Okay, thank everyone for coming and joining in this celebration of Parker's life. I just want to say a few words about my son, Parker, who I love very much. I could be up here all day talking about Parker, but I'm just going to keep it brief and say a few words. Parker turned out to be my best friend. When he was in New York, we would go to clubs in the Village and on the Upper West Side to hear music. He was my hangout buddy. We watched Knicks games on TV together, listened to records, and walked on Broadway, often stopping for lunch. Parker had a great ear for music. Sometimes we would be listening to music and he would say, "Dad, did you hear that?" Maybe I missed it, I don't know. He was also my biggest fan. It was at Parker's insistence that I finally make a record as a leader. And it was released on Parker's label called Jazz Child Records. Family was very important to Parker. He never missed special events. I remember a few years ago, Parker, Alexis, and Jill planned a surprise party for my birthday. It was Parker's job to keep me away from home until the party was set up. Parker took me to the Museum of Natural History and insisted that we see many exhibitions there. We stopped at the gift shop where he bought me too many gifts. Then we stopped for a drink. He kept saying, "Let's have another beer, let's have another beer." When we got home, all of the guests had arrived. He had did his job. I was surprised and tired. Parker kept me out all day. Those who spent time with Parker know how creative he was. The great work he did when he worked for Oprah Winfrey, and his work with the hip hop community. Parker was amazing. He had a very creative mind, sharp and thoughtful, caring and vibrant. I miss you, Parker. You don't know how much. I love you always. Your dad, Leroy. Peace, my man. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I love you. I love you. All right, thanks, Pops. One of the coolest people you'll ever meet right there. I want to also introduce his sister, also in New York, Sister Alexis, another cool person to know. So we're going to hear from his sister, Alexis.
All right. As a big brother, Parker was always my idol. When I was younger, I would wait up for his flights to get in, and I can't remember a holiday without him there. The older I got, I realized how much of who I am came from Parker. It was really like he was laying out the blueprint for me all these years. One summer in high school, I stayed with Parker and took classes at Columbia College. And I learned more that summer, I think, from Parker than I did probably in most of my years in school. Everything he showed me just helped me to stay ahead. Whether it had to do with editing or music, I always felt prepared because of Parker. There was never an idea that was too small or a creative project of mine that he wouldn't stop what he was doing to be a part of. Every film project I did in college had the soundtrack provided by DJ Parker Lee. When my film got Best in Class in Columbia, Parker was there, even though most people didn't think it was a big deal. My brother was named after one of the jazz greats, Charlie Parker. And I think we can all agree that he lived up to his name. Parker will always be in my heart. And I think about him every day.
I think that deserves a moment of silence. That was his sister Alexis, who's extremely talented videographer. She shot one of our videos actually when I was in New York a few years ago, a song called Dirty Game. She shot a lot of videos. She used to work with Hollow the Don, one of the famous battle rap stars now. But she was working with him in his early years on his climb. I'm gonna introduce another brother of mine who wants to speak also, Robert Benavides. He shot our first music video, Akbar's Groove and Sheba Creepers. And I believe he's maybe calling in from California, which is where he lives. Yeah, Los Angeles, California. Good brother of mine, Devsky from the MPC crew, Masterpiece crew, AKA Robert Benavides. I'm gonna let him speak now. Yes.
Hi, everybody. And I didn't really write anything down. I've got some notes just coming from the heart. First of all, I'm proud to be sharing space with you guys in that room, on the internet, here across the world. We're all here, to honor and remember Parker. So I want to say thanks for letting me participate in that. Yeah, as Akbar said, so I grew up in Rogers Park. I was a little graffiti artist. I used to write Devsky, and as a lot of people in that era, we were all, we looked up to New York. New York was the Mecca, and I don't remember the exact place. Akbar and I were trying to remember where we all met, but I think it was 85 or something like that. And I just remember vividly, these are a strong memory I have of Parker and, in his sheepskin jacket with his Cazals and the gear, and everybody was like, wow. I remember like, this guy is so cool. This guy is so fresh. Like, who is this guy, Then later, we flash forward to, we're all, it was just a culture. One of the things I have to say about this, and as we get older, and I think we all know this, is that people, when we meet people at that age, these are formidable friends. These are friendships that I can speak for myself. The people that I met when I was in high school and college, they're really good friends. As we get older, we get baggage and different things happen. So Parker lives in my heart, and I have a lot of great memories of that era. There was no internet. You had to go, you had to call people, you had to find each other. It was a special time. It was a beautiful, special time. Parker was always a leader. Parker, you hear people talking about the club Steps. It was a bar in Rogers Park called Baby Huey's, and you had to go up the stairs. That's why Parker named it Steps. And, Parker was a few years older than us, but he was always a leader. Like, the thing I want to say about Parker is what he motivated me, because Parker showed you that you could do whatever you want. You didn't have to wait in line. You didn't have to, you just are in control of your own destiny. And he always made sure that he tried to do that. Anyways, we all shared a love of hip hop. As time went on, everybody, we grow up. He went to Columbia College. I went to Columbia College a few years later, but over time we reconnected. And as a filmmaker, through our love of hip hop, I shot and directed 2 videos for Parker and for Akbar, Mental Giants. Sheba Creepers is one video, Akbar's Groove is the other video. And I later produced a video that a friend directed that for the project with Grandmaster Kaz. Anyways, those 2 videos, the Mental Giant videos, I plan on retransferring so we can have those in an even better quality on the web. I loved Parker's sense of humor. He had a great sense of humor. I wasn't privy to all the nicknames, but I'm told he always had a nickname for everybody. So I'm sure all our friends can share those stories. And one of the things that I always thought was kind of interesting about Parker was that he was that New York guy. So sometimes there was a little bit of a tough guy thing, not in a bad way, but a tough guy thing. But everybody knows at the end of the day, he was just a big teddy bear. He had so much love. All the accolades, all the stuff that he did with Harper was huge. And he and I always stayed connected. Later on, as I started doing videos in the hip hop world, I did a lot of music videos in the 90s and 2000s, and Parker would come out and be on those sets. And he found a way to get in those videos. So if you ever want to see, I'm sure he's in a bunch of videos, but he's in KRS-One's A Friend video. You can find him, making some cameos there. And he's also in the Mike Jeronimo video for this track called Vendetta. And that's an Easter egg. You'll have to find him in that video, but you'll get a kick out of it when you see him. I loved him very much. I don't really know what else to say. I just want us all to, even though we might be sad, we have to honor him and cherish the memories, remember him, and just be thankful that we had him in our lives. He was a big inspiration to me. I have the records, I have the memories, and rest in power, Parker Lee. We love you very much. I love you guys very much. Thank you for letting me be a part.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna keep introducing more speakers if that's okay. I have a few more people who wanna say some words. Another friend of mine, Joe Williams, AKA Chosen, is part of the X-Men crew. So we're gonna let him chime in. Chosen.
Hello, family. Mother
How you
Flora,
doing?
Akbar, it's great to see you. Parker, Peely, the crowd pleaser, TCP. Oh my gosh. I used to see between you and him, you guys used to be up in the neighborhood, you know, Edgewater. You know, we're on the outskirts of Rogers Park. And then when I finally met this brother, because I used to look up to him so much, just seeing what he was doing, little tags in the neighborhood. But I looked up to him for whatever the reason was. And when I met him, my gosh, it was a funny and fun thing. And yes, Devsky, you are right. He had nicknames for everybody. At that time, I was missing a tooth. He used to call me Baby Tyson.
Yo, that's crazy because I was just thinking that you look like Tyson.
Yeah, and that was it. You know, and Akbar, you stayed over there across Broadway. You know, and I remember he just he became my friend. He took me in, right? You know, I mean, I didn't know him from Adam. He's from New York. He found out I like graffiti, and you know, he became my friend. He took me in. He actually told me how to move out of my comfort zone. I used to write poetry and keep a journal where I would put everything in a rhyme form. And he pushed me out of that, and he told me, yeah, you need to start doing some things. 86, 87, we're going to WNUR every day, every weekend rather, every Saturday morning. And he used to DJ there. And out of the blue, one day he was just threw the mic at me like, yo, man, you know, you need to rap. And he put me on blast. But he pushed me to get out of my comfort zone. And we talked about things. He introduced me to some people, and we talked about music. And he was always very business-minded, even back in the 80s. He had a plan for himself, and he told me about that. He had a plan for himself. He wanted to do better. And he always pushed everybody around him to do better. I mean, he, you know, like I said, the crowd pleasers, TCP, Steps, the X-Men crew. You know, he had a thing about him where he wouldn't necessarily deal with people that didn't want to do better. He wanted people to do better. And he pushed and promoted people to do better. And he always knew about his music. I used to look up to, you know, him, Akbar, Mental Giants, just everything you guys had going on, because that was hip hop in its rawest form. And he kept pushing that. And because of him, I believe this, for those that know it, WNUR became a better radio station. He knew some house heads and, you know, Jam Master Jay, Farley, you know, all these other people. He was just all about music, but he was all about people and promoting people. And I like to thank this brother because of he pushed me out of my comfort zone. Maybe become a better artist, a better rapper, a better graffiti artist. But in the long run, maybe become a better person, thinking about my future, thinking about the people around me. You know, we share the same last name. I remember we joked about that one time back in like 87. And we were just bugging out. But, you know, these are the things. This brother brought a lot to the city of Chicago, to the hip hop culture. I'm gonna miss you, bro, but I love you. And one thing I can say for sure, even though we're in our solemn moments right now, the love that you shared spreads throughout the room right now. And I thank you for that.
Thanks,
Rest in
Chosen.
peace, my brother. Rest in peace.
Thank you, brother.
Yes.
I feel like I should interject for those who don't know, because you probably keep hearing references to X-Men, TCP. So just really quickly, Parker and I, we both were guys who moved to Chicago in the early 80s, both being from New York City. I was from the Bronx and Parker was from Lower East Side Manhattan. This fate would have it that we would meet each other here, and we just clicked up and became really close friends. And we started a crew called TCP, which was a graffiti crew. We did a little bit of everything because Parker was already a DJ, but TCP was one of the first graffiti crews in Chicago. This was in the early years when graffiti really hadn't hit Chicago yet. There was a few crews like the ABC crew. I'm sorry, not ABC. ABC was another crew. I can't forget ABC, but Cab Crew was the early crew that I remember on the north side, the CAB, Cab Crew 312. And Parker and I started a crew called TCP, the Crowd Pleasers. And later on, after the explosion of hip hop, and we had a lot of crews like ABC, MPC Crew, ACW, OTR, like there's so many crews that I can't mention them all now. But after the explosion, 2 years later, I would say around 87, after me and Parker had really paid our dues as far as graffiti and just putting Chicago on the map with how much graffiti, you know, how much work we put in, bombing the trains and tagging all over the neighborhood and going citywide. We decided, well, Parker really is the one who decided to start X-Men crew in Chicago because he knew some X-Men that he grew up with in New York. So he always had the foresight. And I don't know how he did it, but he always kind of saw things before, way ahead of time. So he decided, because he and I had already put in our work as far as graffiti, you know, from 85 all the way up to 87, 88, and we decided to start X-Men in Chicago, and we gave it over to the next generation. And Heckle was the guy who was president of the X-Men crew. Rest in peace to that brother Marty. So if you guys hear X-Men a lot, that's just to kind of fill you in. Though for those who don't know, we were definitely a part of Chicago's graffiti history and hip hop history. And I see a brother just came in, Trickster, from NPC crew to Feds. So yeah, we got mentioned in the American, the American history of graffiti. History of American Graffiti, which is a reference book you can find in the library. So, you know, we made history. But back then, we were just doing what we loved. We didn't really think much of it. We just knew that we didn't want to be a part of the gang culture. We wanted to kind of set ourselves apart and do something creative. So just wanted to interject that. Let's see, Stephanie will speak. Okay. So Steph? Oh, Kim, okay, we'll let his sister Kim speak first. All right, so his sister Kim is here. She's gonna come to the podium and speak.
Hello, good evening. I hope. All right, I'm Kim. Parker was my little brother, a good little brother, the best little brother. This is a little hard. Just gonna miss my brother. Our days in New York. I grew up here in Chicago, but I was in New York most of the time with him when we were smaller. And just gonna miss like going up on the roof. I would be up there smoking. I'm like, don't tell Daddy. He'd be like, I'm not gonna tell. So he was a good, because my brother used to call me like, don't tell all the time, Kim, you tell too much. But Parker was not that type of brother. Just a warm heart that Parker had, just giving, funny, always positive. Never heard him be really negative. You know, I went to many Oprah shows because of him. Went to the last show, which was a blast. It's just hard. I'm gonna miss him. My heart goes out to Flora, my dad. You know, for your child to go before you is, I can't even imagine. Glad to see a lot of people here. I know that he was really loved. DJ, just glad to have been a part of all that he did. Everything he did, he would call me, include me. I come, drive from the south suburbs to the north side. He come and visit me, say, it's too quiet out here, it's too quiet. But I had a poem, I got a poem that I wanted to read. It's called Brother. You gave no one a last farewell, nor ever said goodbye. You were gone before we knew it, and only God knows why. A million times we will miss you, a million times we will cry. If love alone could have saved you, you never would have died. In life we loved you dearly, in death we love you still. In our hearts you hold a place no one else can feel. It broke our hearts to lose you, but you didn't go alone, for part of us went with you the day God took you home. We will meet again someday, I know in a better place. I thank God he made you our brother while you were here on earth. And that's it. My condolences to Flora. I mean, just everybody, it's just hard. And just glad to see so many people that loved him and cared about him.
We're gonna let Steph speak now.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming tonight. I've known Parker for a long time. Because of Parker is why I know most of the people that I know in this room. And for a long time, as a young woman in the city, you know, I would go to cultural events and he was always like a leader and a pioneer of so much. And I was just, he was kind of too important for me for a really, really long time. And that's fine, but I knew of him. We had been in the same situations, in the same rooms, and he was an influence to my art and to the culture here, and he was kind of the soil to, he laid that out before I even knew it was just him and Akbar and like the birth of a lot of the culture here that I put work in and plant my art in. And we've been through so many things in life, each one of us as, adults, and we finally got to be in each other's life. The past 2 years have been the most amazing, adventurous, just all comforting, and just he made life make sense to me as a partner, and just really healed all the questions of why we're here as far as being in love with someone. And he taught me a lot more about his style that I was learning from him. He taught me a lot of just being, carrying yourself more importantly, and, just not being accessible to all the time. That was kind of a survival skill as me. I've been very social and very busy. I really appreciated, it was such an honor that he wanted to spend time with me and have fun with me. And we did I've had more fun in my life in the past 2 years with him than I have really in my whole life as far as having an adult partner. Of course, I've heard amazing stories from him, from his perspective about all you guys. So I know all these stories and from his perspective, and they're pretty funny. And I know his nicknames for a lot of people. One of the things of the medicine that we had in these past 2 years was just laughing together and having jokes. We traveled a lot. We were very busy on just having fun together. It was kind of a whirlwind of love. And I appreciate that all of you shared his life with you, and I got to be a part of it. And I just, I feel like his spirit, his presence was a beacon of love and light and rhythm and style, and just so amazing. That one of the things about being with him when he passed is just how thin the threshold is between our body and our spirit. And what I've gained out of this experience is just not being afraid of that at all. It's just so thin being there. I don't know if you've lost someone that close to you, in front of you, but you realize that how temporary this setting is. This realm is so temporary, and where he is now is really the real deal of where we're going. So we're here so quickly. Make sure that you bring kindness and love in the world. That's what he was really about. He might have had an harder exterior at times when he was younger, but his sternness was out of love too. He wanted things done right. He didn't want things to be half step and half-ass. He wanted things to be done right. So I know that you all know him is to love him, and that's the gift that he gave us, is his love and his art, his music, his talent, his genius, and his divinity. To be around him he invoked divinity within you to be creative and to plug into your creative outlet and to have that kind of transcendental medicine of what we call art that is so healing. So I know I'm rambling, but thank you. I do love you all, an extension out of love for him, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Okay, I have to let his ex-wife speak. And then I have a friend in the audience who wants to also share a story with us. But let me let, this is Cherie, who was a big part of Parker's life, and she wants to, I guess she's gonna call in, so let's let her speak now. if she's ready. If we need more time, let me know. Okay, because if not, should I let someone else speak while we get her ready? Okay, because I have someone who has to leave soon. Orko, could you come up? This is a good friend of mine, Rodney, AKA Orko, another amazing artist from Chicago. He wants to share a story. I'm glad to see you, brother.
Hey, glad to see you. First of all, I want to say God bless all of y'all. It took first of all, if you don't see the rest of my crew here, they're hurt, destroyed. And I left early because his cousin is outside. He does not want to come and witness that, so I have to give him an obituary. But let's get to the good part about Parker. When I met Parker and Stain, they were so fresh from New York that I was like, all right, that's cool. So I was so hip hop from the South Side, he didn't even know about the South Side. So when he started DJing, every hit record that made it from New York, Chubb Rock, KRS-One, I didn't even know Biz Markie and Heavy D did a record, but Parker would give me the mixtape first because I was on the run with a Cadillac. And I popped that tape, and I would ride, go see P, go see Stain. And these brothers said, they told me a little bit about New York, but I was nosy. Everybody in here knows I'm nosy, okay, we'll get through that. I went to New York to find out. Now, it's me, Trickster, Warp, and Crack. Crack is outside waiting because he can't come in. So we get in the car and we reminiscing on our way here. And I just had to say, I couldn't walk out this room without telling y'all what he did. So one day he said, he would just switch up so much that I didn't know if he was lying or he just was rich already. One day he just said, I'm going into making movies. He brought the Spike Lee movie to the house. We watched She's Gotta Have It in his house, because if you was invited to that room, now there's a classic photograph of me, Trickster, him, and Cazelli that Slang took. If you was down with P, you made it to that bedroom. If you weren't down with P, you couldn't go in that bedroom. The room wasn't but no bigger than whatever this is. But we crammed in that room, and we just listened to P show us pictures from New York, because he would show us all the new cars. We didn't have trains running like that. So I said just like this. I said, Tricks, let's go to New York. I impressed Parker so bad with that move. When I got back, I was a New Yorker to him. He said, you went to New York? I said, I went to the Lower East Side where I had the food cart. I went to that neighborhood where he grew up. I called up here, I said, I'm in the Bronx. So now I got my stripes, so to say. But one thing he did for me, he told me, you're gonna be special. And I said, why are you saying that? Because I bought you some gyros? He said, no. He said, because you're good on TV. So he did a documentary at Columbia on graffiti. They showed the museum with all these classical pictures, and he thought that was corny. He said, hold on, now let's play it out, hit it. Yes, the rhythm, the rebel, and he started showing the Chicago graffiti, and Trickster wasn't really saying that much, but I was the one that was talking, so he kept filming me in Trickster's mama's living room, and I don't know who got the documentary, but he put me on TV first. I said, P, I'm gonna be somebody. The next time I talked to Parker, man, I said, Parker, you ain't gonna believe this. He said, what? I made it. He said, what you doing? I said, I'm in San Francisco. I made it in the Rob Report magazine. He said, expensive book? In there. First graffiti writer, first black painter in there, because of you. Because he pushed me. Every way he pushed. And the last time I seen him, and this is a funny story, we all doing this wall that Zeb put together, and Zeb wanted us to all do the classic pieces. We wanted to do new stuff. He said, do everything classic. So there's a guy that walks up to me. He said, man, what's up? I thought I owed him some money. I didn't understand this one. So he said, you don't remember doing some t-shirts for my family on the South Side? Now I really know I owe him some money. I looked, and it was P. P had lost weight. He wasn't the same P that I remember. I said, yo, Park, I'm sorry. So I apologized. And every time I would see him and Steph, I would keep apologizing about that day. He said, man, you dissed me, bro. It's P. I was like, man, you know that was you. You lost so much weight. He said, yeah, man, I had to lose weight. So we sitting there, we drinking beers because I got to apologize to him because this dude gave me so many opportunities, and I dissed him. I was like, what t-shirts? Man, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, so you don't know who this is, huh? I looked, Parker, he said, Ork, it's me. And we sat at this wall with all of our legendary friends, and Zeb put it together. And Steph, you become just like an amazing person. The only person that can really understand what I'm talking about right now is the only girl that we let be around us, Ange 13. It was always Ange 13, Akbar, Stain. She right there. There she go. That was the only girl we would let hang with us. And Anne's 13, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm gonna say this before I get out of here. I'm gonna say one more thing before I get out of here. I'm gonna tell you a secret. Ange is not a rapper. Ange is the only graffiti writer that we let hang with us in the 80s. She's a writer. So when she approached her lyrics, when she approached her shows, she was the only beat girl with us. Yeah, that's her. So when I seen the last picture that we took, I said, what are y'all doing on the south side? So he has a whole family over there. So when I found out about the news, I found out from the family, and I just couldn't believe it. But like I said, I apologize that I got to get back, because my ride is outside. I came all the way from Stony Island in 70-something, and I made it. For my friend, I made it, but I had to let y'all know what he did for me, because I'm one of the ones that he touched, and it worked. So I couldn't leave without saying that. And all of y'all, my friends, my family, the X-Men crew, he built the whole crew, because X-Men wasn't nothing he was really serious about. It was TCP, ABC, NPC, which was started by Devsky, and then he would always write this X-Men. What you talking about, the comic book? And then it became something big. Now that's one of the biggest crews in the city. Yeah, the strongest running crew right now in the city was something that he had as an extra word next to his name. Peely, Stain, Chaos, TCP, and then he'll always just slide in a little X-Men at the end. So for all you guys on X-Men, the feds love y'all. Okay, y'all down with us. You know what I mean? But Parker did something, and I couldn't walk out. He gonna charge me when I get in this car to take me back to the city. But I had to say this. I couldn't just walk out this place without speaking about my man. So look, man, I love you, P. You did so many things to me over the telephone when I was out of town that nobody knew about. And you set a bar. When you went to Harpo and you did that video of me at 17, I became somebody, you know, because of this man right here. And, you know, hey, y'all, whoever's not here, I'm not their spokesperson, I'm their friend. They're hurt beyond understanding. And the only person they talking to me right now is me. Man, we don't want to see that. They ain't even coming. So I took about 20 obituaries that I'm gonna give to each one of them and say I was here. So look, man, God bless y'all, man. I gotta get in this car, go back to Chicago. I'm out.
Okay. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Yeah, there's so many stories, so many people that Parker touched. Anne's 13. I see you in the back. Sister Anne's a dope MC, dope artist. She did start out as a graffiti writer. And we won't go into the whole story about how he dissed you because you was trying to get up to the DJ stand and get on the mic. And I was like, nah, let the sister come up and rap. And she was so determined to get up there and spit. And that from that moment, that event, that's what pushed her and gave her the fuel to go and just keep going and do, you know, what you do best. So much love to you. We're gonna let Cherie speak now. This is another person this is his ex-wife, okay? Cherie, she wants to speak. And let's see if it's ready for us to hear from her. We see you on that screen. Okay, we see you. How you doing, Cherie? Yeah.
That's so good. I just actually got over COVID myself, which is interesting. I never thought I'd get it, and here it is. Anyway, just wanted to say to Flora and to Leroy, Alexis, and Jill, and you, Akbar. I know you have been a pivotal part of Parker's life since I met him at 13. I am so sorry. I don't have anything prepared, and unfortunately right now I'm a little, all I can say is Parker is single-handedly one of the most amazing individuals I have ever had the pleasure of meeting. I have nothing but the best to say about him, because he also impacted my life very positively. I got into television. I learned all about jazz music thanks to him and Leroy. I knew nothing about jazz prior to them. And because of both their influence and listening on Christmas Day, I was like, why are we playing jazz music and not Christmas music? That's just how it was in the household of the Williams family. And because of that, now it's all I listen to. In fact, my son listens to it as well. So it was huge for me. He also, oh my God. Also, his girlfriend, I'm so sorry. I also want to say I understand your loss. And I feel for you, trust me. He is a very difficult person not to love. You can't not love Parker. And I know he's in a better place, and we all have to celebrate his life rather than be sad about it, although it is very difficult to do. But like everybody else has been saying, we've all been blessed to have him be present in our lives in whatever way he influenced us and impacted it. I know it was tremendous for each and every person. And that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Yeah. I'm not sure what else is on the agenda as far as speakers, but Dave, yes. I wasn't sure if you wanted to speak. You want to come, my brother? Okay. And then after Dave speaks, I want to share some thoughts and some words.
What's up, everybody? I'm gonna play a song for you. Parker used to come listen to me play a lot, and we all know music is the healer, so I knew he'd like this. Hey now, babe. Hey now, babe. Let's walk. Let's walk tonight. Hey now, babe. Hey now, babe. Yeah. Let's walk. Let's walk. Let's walk tonight. Everything, everything, everything is gonna be alright. Hey now, baby. Hey now, babe. Let's walk. Let's walk. Let's walk tonight. Let's walk tonight. Let's walk tonight. There's not a whole lot that I can really say that hasn't been said much better than I could ever say it. So much love for him here. Damn. I jotted down some things, and I'm just going to speak on them from the heart the other night. I wrote these down. And like I said, this has all been touched upon because we all knew and loved him. And he loved us. He spread a lot of love through just his presence and his being. He was a gentle and kind soul and a man with a heart larger than life. Always trying to lift you up, never trying to tear you down. He was an innovator, a groundbreaker, a fearless, quiet genius, always leading the way. And I know he would like us to be laughing a little bit, so I'm going to share a little bit about his nickname giving as well. So he, when we first met, he always called me Dave, and we started working together. He started calling me Dave the Doer because I like to do. I'm a doer. And we had an intern named Zach. And Zach would always eat snacks all day long. Of course, Zach became Zach Snacks, you know. And he came in our house, and my girl Sasha was playing piano, of course, Sasha Keys. But then to kick it up a notch, we were cooking dinner one night. He gave her nickname and called her Chef Boyar Keys. Nickname to the nickname. You were there. You were there. He always had a twinkle in his eye. Very wise spirit. Very humble, very strong. And humility and modesty were his guide. He always had big plans, big ideas, didn't tell anybody, but made it happen. And I'm grateful for him for that, to teach me that. And he also gave my brother and myself a chance when no one else would or had a reason to. And I just wrote, your humor, your instincts, your ambition, your heart will be missed and never forgotten. That's all I get to say.
All right. Well, I wasn't going to write anything down because I'm not really one to write things down. Anybody who knows me, I'm usually off the head. But I felt that I should write something down just to put my thoughts on paper and see where they took me. So I call this Travel Light. Way before they called it hip hop, when it was yes, yes, y'all to the beat and you don't stop. I was just a kid from the Bronx, living in Chicago, uptown with my dad and my moms. Before we even met, I saw your name. P-L-E-E, my life would never be the same. You gave a melody and rhythm, a funky bass line with a horn. I'm grateful of the day that you were born. How lucky I must be to know you trusted me as a friend. You always had my back through thick and thin. I was your crimey. I played the front man. You stood behind me. You was my DJ. You held it down and always kept it grimy. The crowd pleaser, natural born leader. The man who used to push the two-seater with the fly senorita. Peely Fresh, you was the freshest kid in the bunch. A trendsetter. You always knew to follow your hunch. You had the ears of a hunting dog, perfect timing like a Swiss clock, and enough soul to make a deaf man rock. A mental giant, not because you're bigger or smarter, because you stood on the shoulders of those who came first, put in work, and gained the vision to see farther. You always was ahead of the rest. Selfishly, I'm sad to see you go, even though I know I'm blessed. For all the time on earth you shared with me, so many memories, you'll always be here with me. Let's celebrate. This is your going away party, when the soul takes flight and it throws away the body. I learned the best things in life aren't things, it's the joy life brings. So spread your wings and take flight and travel light, wise king. No carry on, just carry on and travel light, wise king. Travel light. I don't know what else to say about my brother. He took me in. That's my big brother. He was special. I knew it when I first met him. I was a loner when I came to Chicago. I didn't have many friends. I knew a few people. I met a few guys who had that East Coast influence. But I can't front, when I met Parker, I pushed them all aside. And we just clicked up and we became inseparable. I used to go to his house after school and we would make tapes in his bedroom. He had the beat machine. This was before it was even called hip hop. It was just what we did. It was what we loved. We started a crew called the Crowd Pleasers, which was taken from an old skating crew in New York. That was his idea. He always had the ideas. And everybody wanted to be down with TCP. When Beat Street came out and everybody was spinning on their heads and wanted to be breakdancers, and overnight it just exploded everywhere. And we were already kind of 10 steps ahead of everyone. So everybody in the North Side wanted to be down with the crew, but wise enough, we knew quality control was important. So we were like, you gotta get fresh before you get down with TCP. You gotta learn, you gotta get a hand style. You can't just, if we let everybody in, there's no diversity, there's no competitive spirit. Looking back on it, it gave birth to all the other crews that came out. You know, when somebody doesn't let you in the clique, it just pushes you to show them that you got what it takes. So that's what happened. All these crews popped up overnight. Out to Rock Crew, ACW, All City Writers. Across town, you had the ABC crew, Artistic Bombing Crew. The feds that you hear us speak about, it's not the FBI. We're talking about a federation that we formed later between crews, TCP, MPC, ABC. We formed the federation, the feds, and we put it down for Chicago, man. Like, I'm one of the pioneers. I'm one of the first graffiti writers in Chicago. And Parker was a big part of my life. He was my partner in crime. And with the music, we knew that we would immortalize ourselves. And I was already rapping before I met Parker when I was growing up in New York, 12, 13 years old, trying to be like my big brother, Raheem. When I came to Chicago, Parker became my big brother. And it was my idea to start Mental Giants, which was our musical group. So we separated ourselves from being graffiti artists and we moved into the arena of being musicians and being a real group. So Mental Giants was who we became. And I'll always carry that crew, and I'm gonna always honor his memory and continue to do what we set out to do, which is build the culture and show the love that we have for this art form and do it the way we know best and always push it forward. So I didn't foresee his leaving so soon. We were in the middle of making an album, and so now I'm even more determined to finish that album. It would have been our first Mental Giants album, as he and I just, with all his production. And so I'm gonna make it my business to finish that. And I know that because now he's with the ancestors, he has even more power. So I feel like he's gonna help me in everything I set out to do. So, I don't know. I'll never give up. And I'll never forget Parker, because I know he wouldn't want me to stop. So thank you for everybody for sharing and showing your support. I know that you guys are not here because you were forced to be here. You were here because Parker was a part of your life in some way, and he touched you, and he showed you the love that he showed me. I'm just fortunate that he and I became so close because he was a very private person. He didn't let everybody in his circle. But I got to know the man. He was the greatest friend I ever had. That's all I have to say. Thanks. I'm done talking now. I don't want to talk anymore. His body is here, but his soul has traveled on. So thank you again for everybody who came out to honor and respect and remember the brother, the friend, the talent, the artist, the musician, so many hats he wore. And this is my mom in the front row. I love you, and I'll be there for you. I know it's difficult, and I appreciate you for bringing him into the world to share his time on earth with me. Thanks.
Again, I want to thank all of the people that joined us also online, his family and his friends. There will be a gathering close to 7 o'clock at The Nest in Chicago. The address is 6859 West Irving Park Road. Again, that's tonight at 7 p.m. Now, tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, the interment will take place at Ridge Lawn Cemetery at 5736 North Pulaski Road in Chicago at 11 o'clock. And the address is listed in the folder you received, as well as the address to The Nest where the gathering is this evening. And at this time, Akbar and myself are going to escort Parker's casket into the other room. And if everyone wants to follow, starting with his family in the front row.
So, Bluetooth is gonna be Samsung. Ready to go? Stephanie. So we're here for her. If you want to get a picture of the casket now, not be the time to do it once you get the flowers. You can go closer, yeah. Probably. The poet Maya Angelou wrote these words: "When great trees fall."
When great trees fall, rocks on distant hills shudder, lions hunker down in tall grasses, and even elephants slumber after safety. When great trees fall in forests, small things recoil into silence, their senses eroded beyond fear. When great souls die, the air around us becomes light, rare, sterile. We breathe briefly. Our eyes briefly see with a hurtful clarity. Our memory suddenly sharpened, examines, gnaws on kind words, unsaid, promised walks never taken. Great souls die, and our reality, bound to them, takes leave of us. Our souls, dependent upon their nurture, now shrink, wizened. Our minds, formed and informed by their radiance, fall away. We are not so much maddened as reduced to unutterable ignorance of dark, cold caves. And when great souls die, after a period, peace blooms, slowly and always irregularly. Spaces fill with a kind of soothing electric vibration. Our senses restored, never to be the same, whisper to us. They existed. They existed. We can be, and be better, for they existed. Today, on an earth that Parker Lee Williams no longer walks, the world is colder and less bright. The music of his heart, his composition, his creation, and his very life rings in our ears and always will, and yet nothing will ever be the same. And though so many souls grieve Parker Lee's absence, no one longs for him as much as his family. No parent is ever prepared to mourn their child. And so our hearts ache most especially with and for Parker's mother, Flora, and his father, Leroy. We especially extend our condolences also to his sisters, Kimberly and Alexis, and to his nieces and nephews, Maya, Leah, and Dion, and to his great-nephews, Dion, Denzel, and Dior. To Parker's girlfriend, Stephanie, we know you carry this loss in a manner that is all your own. And to Parker's friends and collaborators, most especially Dave, where are you? There he is, Dave and Akbar. We stand with you in your grief and in your pain. In the Bible, the story of liberation from slavery in Egypt to the freedom of the Promised Land comes about at the hands of three leaders: Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. In the Jewish tradition, this week in particular in our worship services, we retell their story. Their holy legacy is one that Parker Lee Williams, in his own way, embodied. God chooses three leaders because liberation is only possible when three gifts are brought to bear: courage, kindness, and artistry. Moses was courageous. He confronted an evil tyrant and demanded his people's freedom. He hoed a path no one else had traveled. He was a pioneer. Parker was a pioneer. Parker's courage brought art and music to Chicago. He laid a foundation that others have built on with graffiti art, hip-hop music, and steps, for example. In an article honoring Parker written by Jesse de la Peña, the author writes, "For folks that may not have known of Parker Lee and are fans of our city's vibrant hip-hop scene, he and a handful of other people are responsible for many things we take for granted. He championed the music and culture at a time when it wasn't easy or safe to do so. Parker's courage will always be remembered." Moses' brother Aaron was also instrumental in leading his people to freedom. Aaron was known as Rodef Shalom, a pursuer of peace. He made peace between siblings, between friends, between spouses, even between enemies. Aaron's kindness was his gift, and Parker too was exceptionally kind. There are so many friends and colleagues and partners who were touched by his heart, his generosity, his authentic care and compassion. Parker didn't want credit or acclaim for that kindness. It was something he did quietly and humbly and without ego. He simply treated his friends with a generosity of spirit that is rare and precious. He pursued peace. He actively sought to better the lives of those around him. Parker's kindness will be missed. But the Bible tells us also that Moses and Aaron couldn't carve a path to freedom with courage and kindness alone. They needed an artist. They needed their sister, Miriam. Miriam was a musician, a percussionist. Miriam was a vocalist singing out praise. Miriam was a dancer. Miriam was an artist. Without art, there is no freedom. And Parker Lee's art freed so many souls. The great legacy of this artist is beyond words. His labors of love with Harpo Productions, Harpo Music Sounds Library, Who's the Boss, and the gifts he brought to bear as DJ P. Lee Fresh are only a tiny taste of his legacy, his creativity, his capacity to lift spirits and carve new paths with music and song. Parker's artistry will be missed. How does one say goodbye to a man so courageous, so kind, so creative? How does one bid farewell to a leader, a friend, an artist? We begin with thanks. Parker Lee Williams walked the earth for 54 years, and he left it better. Those who knew him were blessed by his presence. And after we give gratitude, we say goodbye by promising to remember. When a great tree falls, when a great soul dies, the ripples of their love and their art never disappear. May Parker Lee Williams' mark on this earth be treasured and remembered always. May we make it so. Amen. I'll invite you to join me in reciting the 23rd Psalm. You can look at it on your phone, or you can join with me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He leads me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou prepare a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. El Malay Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hamsei Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, B'ma'alot Kedoshim Utorim, Kezoar Harakia Mazhirim, Et Nishmat, Peretz Levi, Ben Frida Meir, Shehalach Leolamo, Began Eden Tehe Menuchato, Ana Ba'al Harachamim, Asti Rehu Beseter Kenafecha Leolamim, Utzror Bitzror Chaim Et Nishmato, Adonai Hu Nachalato, Ve'yanuach B'Shalom Al Mishkavo, Ve'nomar Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Parker Lee Williams, the son of Flora and Leroy, who has gone to his eternal home. Merciful God, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May his soul be bound up in the bond of life. May he rest in peace. And we can all say, Amen. We'll now return Parker to his home. We come from the earth and we return to the earth. Inside the coffin, we'll be placing earth from the Holy Land. When a person dies, we have an opportunity to do kindness for them that they can't do for us. In our tradition, we call this chesed shel emet. It's the truest act of kindness because there's no paying back. Rather than seeing Parker buried by strangers, Parker will be buried by you, the people who knew and loved him. And so it's our tradition to place 3 shovels full of earth from each person onto the grave. We'll be starting with Flora and with Kimberly and with Stephanie. We traditionally use the back of the shovel. That's because it's awkward, because it's showing us that we don't wish to be doing this, and yet we are. And so we see that we tuck Parker in for his last good night with earth placed by those who loved him. Everyone, you can join us on both sides. Right over.
Anyone else wants to participate, you can go on either side of the mountain tree.
but just right. Over here. Yeah. Got a different spot. Like if you don't do it right, I might come out. He's like, you the burial engineer? He'd have some quips to say. He would have something to say. Yeah, he'd have always have. No, you're good. It's fine.
Friends, Parker was buried just now in the most traditional manner. Thank you for your kindness. This is exactly the way that our ancestors have been buried for generations, which is with the hands and the arms and the hearts of those who love them, seeing them on their way. We come from dust and we return to dust. There's a final prayer. It's on the handout that you may have received on the very back page. There's a prayer called the Kaddish. This is the prayer that we say as we bid farewell. Whether you know the Hebrew or want to read along in the English letters, you're welcome to read with us. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabah. Ve'alma divra chirte v'yamlich malchute. V'chayechon u'vyomechon u'vchaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach le'olam omeyamaya. Yitbarach v'ishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran b'yalma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. We pray that Parker will rest in peace. We can say these words. Al mekamo yavo v'shalom. May he go to his place in peace. Amen. This concludes our service. Thank you, everyone.
We just would like to also encourage people to share your personal condolences and stories of Parker on our website at Chicago Jewish Funerals. Thank you.
listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.